Yo.
Hey, welcome to the new meta, episode 169.
169.
169.
Listen, you know what we need to do more often is take weeks off, because we have maybe one of the most jam-packed episodes we've had in like a really long time. Really long time.
Yeah, man, we got stuff to talk about because, you know, we're not beating it. But no technical difficulties either today. Man, we're pros at this. We could take a month off and just kill
I think there's some technical difficulties on Twitch's end because there's no way we have like this many people in here.
That's normal.
What the hell's going on? I mean, it is the best. It is the best Diablo podcast, you know, on the internet. So,
ARPG podcast on the internet.
Hey, what are you saying?
I said we're the best ARPG podcast on the internet. That's a good thing.
I thought you said only.
No, I said the best ARPG.
So you're looking different over there. What happened? Where's the green screen?
I tore my office up. I'm still not finished, but it's usable. You know, it's usable. I'm gonna end up painting the walls and doing other stuff. But yeah, I destroyed my stream setup and built a new one. You got to visit in person. You got to see a little tour.
I did. So
that's cool. How was your trip? So, man, it's been a month, I think, since we've done a pod. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Since the last time we did a pod.
This is my first 40th year podcast, you know?
Yeah.
40 years old now.
Whew, you're old as dirt, man.
Ooh.
What's 41 feel like?
I'm 40. 40.
You got the hat off this time too?
I
think that's new. You know? You got the hair transplant work successfully.
The harvested is ready to go.
You know, it took a couple months, but
enough.
We're good. We're back. I mean, we're back and strong.
2.5 months to, yeah.
So, no, that's good, man. Since the last pods, you decided for Christmas, to drive on your motorcycle from Kansas City.
Yep.
All the way to somewhere in Florida.
Destin.
Where'd you go? Destin, Florida.
Miramar Beach.
And when you left, it was a solid, 25, 30 degrees, something?
It's 32, and while I was driving, it got down to 24.
Yeah. So on the way, you drove through St. Louis, so you came in and crashed at the crib and then took back off. But how was the trip? So tell me, how miserable was it? How was the trip back?
I wanted to do it because I know, one of these days I'm going to do Patagonia to Kansas City, 100%. And
you're gonna do what?
Patagonia to Kansas City on a motorcycle.
What the hell is that? What is that?
It's tip of South America.
Okay.
All the way back to Kansas City
to
Patagonia. The other way.
You're gonna start?
I'm starting.
Well, you're gonna buy a bike down there and then drive back?
No, I'm gonna ship my bike to the southern tip of South America.
That sounds like a good way to lose a bike.
It'll be fine. But yeah, so that's my plan one day, and there's gonna be a lot of extreme temperature. So, I have some pretty good gear. This is the first time I really tested some of the new stuff, and so this is the first time I've ridden anything under 40 degrees. And I got a notification on my motorcycle that was like, "Hey, riding in these temperatures for extended period of times is really hazardous to your health."
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, no shit. But it was really, it's really, really cold, but I feel like I've been in colder, to be honest, because the gear was so good. So
yeah, it's I've ridden in some cold gear or some cold weather before. If you have the right gear, it's actually tolerable. If you're fully equipped, it's not fun. No, but it's you live.
Yeah. So I got heated grips. So the inside of my hands are pretty warm, but the outside are freezing cold. Boots are pretty thick. I think they did a good job. And I have this heated liner that goes under my jacket. That's
cool.
I only turned up to a 3 out of 10.
How does it charge? How does it get?
It connects direct to the battery.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I went down. I didn't even tell you this story. So I'm driving down there. Okay, I'm in southern Alabama. I've got maybe an hour left on my trip, and I'm driving, and I see this road closure sign. It takes me off the main highway, and I go to this road closure sign. And usually a road close is not a big deal for me because a motorbike, especially my motorbike, it's an adventure bike. So it's okay, whatever, loose gravel, steep inclines, no big deal. I'll just go right through it. And so I get to this road closure, and it's like, 20 miles ahead, you can't drive through. I'm just like, I'll be fine. And so I go 20 miles through, and it's a river. Like, it's straight up like river. The bridge is out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I can't do that. So I like find an alternate route, and it looks like taking me through someone's lawn. And then there's like this log set up where like the road is, and like it seemed like that was the way to go, but there's this like little giant log like someone had put down. So I'm like, I can't move it because it's like a telephone pole. So it's like, well, I've done this before. So I'm like sitting there thinking about how I'm going to get over this like telephone pole, because it's actually kind of technical. And I like have my flashlight out, and I hear like footsteps behind me, and I like turn, and this lady is in all white, and she's like got white hair, pale skin, no teeth.
Fucking ghost. You're about got murked, dude.
And she has a shotgun.
Oh shit.
And she's like, I don't know why y'all keep thinking you can come down this private property. I was just like, oh my God, like I had no idea. Like,
you were almost on an episode of like The Haunted, Alabama, or
it's
some
an authentic
shit, dude.
Alabama experience. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. And she's like, didn't you see the sign? And like, there was a sign, but it was like, I mean, it was literally like written in crayon. And and so I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I'll go back. I didn't mean to intrude. I'm just like trying to get to my family down in Florida. And then she like looks at me and she's like, best go on and get the way you came. I was like, good God.
You almost got murked in Alabama. That's hilarious, man.
Yeah. Anytime anyone with no teeth has a gun, it's just like, it's the scariest thing.
If anybody has a gun, it's one thing. But dressed in white with white hair and no teeth in Alabama, go on, get.
So,
go on, get.
Terrifying.
Anybody that says get will shoot you. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
If they say go on, get, you're going to get shot. So,
yeah.
No, that's interesting, man. Christmas happened since the last pod.
Yep.
So I had a pretty uneventful Christmas. You know, it was fun though. Nice spending time with the fam. How was the Florida trip?
Beautiful. I mean, honestly, like I was pretty impressed by the beaches down in Destin.
How was the place that you stayed? I know you weren't super happy with the choice, but
and they didn't let motorcycles in. So I got there and it's like 10:30 at night, and I'm like, and I pull up and they're like, "Can we help you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm staying here." And they're like, "Oh, we don't let motorcycles on the premises." I'm like, "Yeah, but like I'm staying here." So like, let me go to my place. And they're like, yeah, we're going to need you to go across the street, and there's like a visitor center, and you can park in that lot, but you can't like take your motorcycle in. And so I'm like, fuck. And so it's like 10:30, 10:45 at that point. And so I call my family, like, or I text my family like, hey guys, I'm here. And like, no one replies because they're already sleeping. So I just had to like lug all my gear, walk like 2 miles to the stupid place.
That sucks, man.
Yeah.
So they never let you in?
No, there's like a key code to get into the door, so I was able to get myself in.
Oh, that's good. No, but I'm saying they never let you take your bike in.
No, so dumb. I was like, is it a noise thing or?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is a BMW motorcycle. This is not like a
I would have snuck
Harley.
it anyways. You know,
it's a gated, so I couldn't even like, they wouldn't open the gate. Anyways.
Cool.
Yeah, wild time.
That's really about it. What else has happened? You want to talk video game stuff?
So
Or you got
literally
more
so many things.
games?
Yeah, let's stop talking about us. It's not what you guys are here for, but literally packed content today. So on December 8th, we asked, right before the Diablo 3 season started, what people were planning on. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. Hang on. Boom. Yeah. So new Meta Pass question of the week from December 8th. What are you starting in Season 25? Option 1, Monk DH. Option 2, Wiz Dr. Necro. And option 3, Crusader Barb. And coming in hot with the Monk was 58.3% of the vote.
Nice.
Monk OP for leveling, really.
Monk OP, and DH is OP too, especially because it was broken at the start of the season. So.
Yeah. But, you know, I hard carried my group. I don't know what your experience was.
Yeah, I think I hard carried my group pretty well too.
Listen, chat. Okay, so here's what happened. Let me paint the picture first. So we start hardcore. Okay.
Yeah.
We all have our challenge rift box. No one messed that up this season, thank God. But we open the challenge rift box and we're on master, and we're like walking to the
I forgot
to get the cube.
There were so many bad things I forgot about this.
You know, it's tougher because it's not expert. It's, you know, whatever. And so someone triggers the event, in the ruins of Sescheron, and we get trapped in that stupid like arena. And we fight like the first 4 waves and survive, and then we start dying off one by one, like level 3. And I had the gloves on me, like an idiot. So
yeah, it was unfortunate. So we all died at the start of the season within the first 10-15 minutes. I don't know. It was fast. It was really fast. I didn't get anything per usual, per season launch for me. Classic. I got nothing from my blood shards. So I actually wasn't out anything because I didn't get anything. And I the weapons and stuff that I crafted, I had in the stash, so I didn't lose it. But yeah, man, we had a pretty unfortunate season start, to say the least. And then the leveling process.
The group comp obviously wasn't set up. Like we had 2 monks, me, Necro, and
2 monks are good for leveling.
Well, yeah. But like obviously not any kind of XP meta in mind whatsoever. No. Once we got it in tippy top, and then it was just like a mess. It was a total mess. This is literally the worst season start probably ever, and we said that last season. For
me, for sure, it was 100% the worst season.
I think second was last season, but this one was pretty bad and bad.
We had partners that weren't experienced in the hardcore ways.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or even in the witch doctor ways.
Yeah. Or even in the Diablo 3 ways.
Yeah.
So I props. Thanks for the group though. I appreciate the runs. Yeah. It was fun. It's still fun though. That's the thing. I still had a pretty good time.
Do you think hardcore makes the season start more fun?
Yeah, it does.
We lost our second monk like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I don't think that I don't think they ever got to the point where they could contribute because they would die. Yeah, and then it was just like start them back over and level them up and carry them again. So it was unfortunate, but I do think that the seasonal theme is cool. I think this theme is better than last season's theme, with the shards, the gems.
Yeah,
and it's cool.
Agreed. Yeah, I think it was fun. Since the Diablo 3 season started, I don't know if you've kept up with it at all, but there's been some exploits. Unfortunately, people are clearing like 150s, GRs in like seconds because of some weird exploit that I don't even know what the case was. But then obviously the leaderboards are all messed up, and then they did a leaderboard clear, but like no one that exploited got banned. So like all those people had like crazy amounts of Paragon still from doing like 150s in seconds. And so like the season from a competitive, from a competitive perspective is always kind of sketch because of bots. But obviously this season in particular is particularly thrown off by all of this. But unfortunate. Exploits are always unfortunate. But
it is. Yeah, it's unfortunate. And I think that I think they did get it patched.
Yeah.
But
they got it patched and then they reset the boards. But no one got banned.
Which is
classic Blizz, right?
Yeah,
no one's gonna be banned.
Maybe they need a soft ban. They need a way to, because if you find it depends on how detailed the exploit is. But if the exploit's just like some dude posts a YouTube video, then every Joe out there can go emulate it. Like an example would be the Thorns glitch that Necro had on the phylactery. What was it? I forget the name of the phylactery, but the one that had the thorns. And like that one wasn't hard to reproduce from what I understand. So I don't think you should ban people permanently forever for exploiting that. But maybe soft reset them. Maybe like wipe their characters on the season and their Paragon, or give them a couple month timeout.
I think that like you're exploiting, because like if it's not something that can just like oops, you have to like know what you're doing to do it.
Yeah.
And then like willingly committing to doing it repeatedly, I think is, I think
there is a fine line between knowing like, okay, you're losing your $60, $40 license to the game because you did this, versus like, you're being a dumbass, knock it off here. We're going to time you out for 3 months. All right, you're banned for the rest of the season. You can come back next season. Don't do it again.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
It's unfortunate.
But yeah, it does suck that those people with, anybody that's doing 150s in like 45 seconds, like you kind of know something's screwed up there. There's no way Blizz intended that.
No.
So I don't know. Feels bad.
Agreed. But overall, fun season weekend start, and the seasonal theme I think was cool. As people seem to be liking it, other than getting past the memes of the exploits and stuff like that. And then the new meta podcast question for next week. Yeah, add some hashtags here. Is what are your thoughts on the latest Diablo 4 update? So if you guys are living under a rock, out of nowhere, we got a second quarterly update for 1 quarter. So look like quarter 4, we got extra value, which was pretty cool.
Extra juice.
And a lot of it, not just a little bit, a lot of it. And we're going to deep dive into that. And I haven't even done like a video yet. Have you done a deep dive at all into the...
I have. No, I mean, I read through it and looked at it and
good.
Analyzed it some, but I didn't break it down or go crazy in depth.
Be curious your thoughts on this, and we'll see. But yeah, so option 1, oh my god, poggers. Option 2, meh. Option 3, more complexity, please. Go ahead and tweet that out. I'll let you guys vote on that. And of course, we're going to take a deep dive into it on today's pod. But yeah, season 25 started. We kind of already talked about it after the first podcast question, so we're not going to waste too much time there. So let's just get into what we're here for. Okay. Diablo 4 quarterly update, December 2021. A lot of stuff here. So they did some itemization and Paragon updates, and some visual effects updates. So yeah, where do you want to start here? We should start with like how items are working.
I guess let's just roll through it, kind of skim through it.
Yeah, so there's skill points, blah, blah, blah. I think the big thing here that is worth talking about is something we already knew was happening, but they're kind of just showcasing it here, is being able to basically like disenchant a legendary to get its power, and then being able to put that power, it turns into like an essence, and you'll be able to take that essence and put it on a rare to get that legendary power on that slot. So it can do it on anything, is what it sounds like. Any legendary effect can be put on any slot, anywhere. You can't put it on a different legendary, but you can do it on rares.
Yeah, on the rares.
And you can't do it on uniques still. Uniques are still, like, you can only wear one, and they're special themed and all that stuff.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Sure.
This seems like a system where you're going to legendary every single slot. So this is going to make you want to look for rares that have the stats that you want on them to then apply the power. And to me, it makes me feel like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, for one, part of me is like, well, this is cool. It gives us a reason to look for yellows and keep them. But at the same time, it's going to, like, how much time am I going to waste now doing loot management, looking at all the yellows I get and saying, like, what stats do they have? Secondly, I feel like this might, at first glance, it makes me feel like, okay, there's going to be choices. I can now mix and match my legendaries however I want. But then it also makes me think, damn, there's definitely going to be some super metas that are going to come out of this to have legendary fixes in these specific slots to get this specific build. But we're going to go down that path regardless, right? There's always going to be a meta and the best build for every class, So I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest with you. I'm conflicted.
To me, it's like, I guess, how much min-maxing with gear are we going to do? If there's like a ton, like if we're constantly being like, ooh, that's just a little bit better. Ooh, that's just a little bit better. Like, I guess I'd be kind of grateful for a system like this, because I don't want to constantly be like, like when you switch a piece of gear in POE, it's a giant effing deal.
It's like 2 hours of figuring out what stat I screwed up to be able to get my stuff back on.
So I don't know, on the surface, like, I'm with you. I hate legendaries in every slot. I think that's just like a silly thing to do. But I guess some of this depends on like how in-depth the crafting system's going to be. Are we going to be able to craft these rares and then slam them with these essences? I'm still not like looking at the pictures here, like the fact there's only 4 stats. I like 6 at least, like from Path of Exile, but I know that can get overwhelming for some people. I don't know. I guess it just depends on like how hard is it going to be to get the perfect stats that we want, and like what's going to be the range on that, and how often are we upgrading pieces of gear, or is it like there's just certain fixed stats for each item slot, just like it is in D3, and you're like looking for like cooldown reduction, damage percent, and like you just already know what you want all the time, and like those are like the most common roles, and so it's like
and you're constantly looking, like every legendary you get, you're smashing it to an essence to then slam it on a yellow, because that's the best way to get max stats, so it's like you're never going to use the legendaries, you're always smashing them. So we'll see how they build it out. This can go either way. I'm not disappointed, and I'm not also crazy excited about it. I think this is like, okay, this is a kind of an end game design that they're picking that I don't have enough info, I feel like, yet to really put an opinion if I like it or dislike it. I'm like, I can see what they're doing. It makes me nervous, but it could also be, I think it could be better than what, the alternative would be, which is just legendaries in every slot like Diablo 3. Let's go, so.
Yeah, my concern on the surface of looking at this is like, okay, so we're going to have like all these essences like sitting on our bank, which kind of sounds annoying. And so then it's like, well, will they build an interface so you could just like have that power once you've broken that power down again? And then it's like, we're getting really close to like having the cube again. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that kind of feels like having the Herodric cube, and I don't want that feeling at all. We'll have to see how it kind of plays out. Obviously, it would be great if we could get our hands on it, but
I think it is interesting they're giving us something to do with the legendaries, though. It's like, okay, well, we can slam them on these make them into essences and then use them. So I just hope it doesn't go the route where you're basically doing that with every piece. Like you get that. Let's just use their examples. The pent up axe. You get that, and every time you get it, you instantly know you're going to essence it and put it on a neck, or you're going to put it on bracers or put it on boots, and then it's like, okay,
I wonder what like percentage of legendaries that we're going to be wearing are we actually interested in, like the default legendary, like, you know what I mean? Like, are we ever going to be excited to see legendaries? Because or are we just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to break this down for the power, you know what I mean? And like use it on a rare or something. So that'd be kind of
well. And it's also devalues when you get legendaries that drop all the time as well. Like when you get, I mean, just think about the rate that they drop in POE versus Diablo 3. Right? Diablo 3, you're getting 100 a minute. In POE, you don't have near, for uniques at least. So when you get one, you're like, oh, this is, what is it? Is it good? Let's check it out. So.
Yeah. And then this thing was interesting. I'm curious your thoughts on this. So basically saying hunting for items, they're saying areas or certain mob types will have a, quote, somewhat more likely to drop certain types of items than others. So like, for example, if you're hunting for a new pair of pants, you'll want to kill some drowned mob types. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so it's like vague. I think that's okay.
Do you remember original D3 where you would like have to go to certain zones to farm like
to find the item to craft stuff? Yes. Yeah, if it's an increased chance, I think that's okay. If it's exclusive chance, I don't like that as much.
Yeah, it says somewhat more likely, so that is a key phrase. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that system. I didn't like that at all from D3. I didn't like that at all from D2.
I agree with that until you start to try to target a piece. If you have really bad luck and you need to target a piece, then I do like it. And there's been various games that have so Diablo 4 stole some ideas from Division 2 with their Dark Zone, or Division 2 for their Dark Zone. And Division also has a system that lets you target loot. And for example, you'd pull the map up and the map would have different areas like kind of defined. look like a map, like counties on a state, right? And specific areas would drop specific loot more frequently, and they would rotate those areas on a daily basis. So the problem with that system became the easiestly farmable area. You'd wait until the item you wanted got a day. Like, so let's say you needed an assault rifle, the day that the strike that you wanted to do was on there, you would just farm that day really hard because it was an easy one to get.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. If they're going to go something like that route, if they're going to permanently just have like certain types drop things, I think that could be bad and stale eventually. But it also makes me wonder if that would lead to a system like Diablo or Division 2 eventually someday, where they're like, we're going to rotate what races drop what items this week or next week. And I don't know, man. You're right. I don't know if I like it, because I think ultimately it would lead to things that I wouldn't like. Because I think players would be like, well, it's really cool that drowners drop pants, but I'm tired of farming drowners. And then they'll be like, well, let's mix it up. Let's add it to this type too.
Yeah, when I read this on the surface, in the back of my head, I'm kind of hoping, like, obviously we know D4 is a big open world. So I'm hoping that this isn't like one of their incentives to, like, explore areas of like, oh, I know drowned are more common in this part of the open world. And so I'm hoping that that's not like, you know what I mean? Like, one of the incentives to like explore would be to like farm certain mob types. Like, hopefully there's just like incentive to explore, period, and not just like a somewhat more likely chance to drop a pair of pants is the only incentive,
Right.
So
that kind of leads into the conversation of targeted items, though. How do you like having targeted loot?
I don't. I think that you should just like play and get stuff, because like I hate that in like World of Warcraft, where it's like, well, I killed boss 2, he's got my pants, and so I'm out of here for the next raid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but doesn't POE do that? Isn't there specific items
there is
from certain things?
And I think POE does a good job of it, because like, Sirius, for example, has like some of the best items in the game, and well, he is technically like the boss, but I think what distinguishes that is that you're not like leaving game, remaking game, and killing Mephisto over and over again. Like, that's not how PoE works. Like, you can't just go spawn Sirius over and over and over and over and just kill him like all day. Like, you have to grind each part of the Atlas and like, build up the juice, and then eventually it'll spawn him again. So I think that they have to like, something like that would have to be considered. Is it to have specific loot? Like, you can't just completely retarget.
I think it'd be a misstep for the end game if, let's just say, whoever the end game boss ends up being in Diablo 4, if we can just continuously go farm them like we can in Diablo 3. Like, any boss in Diablo 3, you can just go farm. And I like the way that PoE did it, where you have to earn it. You have to work your way up to it. So
yeah, I completely agree with that. And that I would hate for Blizzard, because it is a very Blizzard thing, to be like, well, you killed Lilith today, so 24-hour lockout timer, instead of doing Path of Exile.
Well,
like,
that's a very MMO quality, though. I feel like that definitely is a staple MMO tactic. To keep you to farm your time, to farm your monthly subscription. And I don't feel like that works in an ARPG, although Lost Ark's doing it, but we'll talk about that later. Sure. I that's stupid. In ARPG and Diablo 4, you should be able to farm a boss as many times as you can spawn him and kill him.
Yep.
So
and then the Paragon board. So, before we even dive into this section, I'm curious your thoughts too, but like, just like, there's some trigger words in the Blizzard community. I just think that you got a new game, it's a fresh game. I don't like how the Diablo franchise chooses to like reuse words. Like, this is the thing in Diablo Immortal as well.
Yeah.
Paragon. Like, why do we have to keep reusing that Paragon? Is it so that like mobile game players will be like, oh, I'm going to jump into D4 and like, I know what Paragon is, because like word association.
I don't know why they reused it. They could have called it, what would be in a better word? A skill board, a talent board, anything, like progression board, like any other word but Paragon. I agree with you on that. Paragon is such a dirty word.
Yeah, agreed.
These days.
I think that's another thing. Sorry to cut you out. Like,
Yeah.
it D3, like if a D3 player comes in and is like, you know, someone that left D3 being like, fuck Paragon, like that's such a stupid system, like like Infinite Paragon's so stupid, and then they gain their first level of Paragon, they're like, are you fucking kidding me? And like they just log off.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I agree that Paragon is a very Diablo-ish term for me. Like when I hear that word, I think of Diablo instantly.
Yeah.
You know, there are certain things that make me think of certain games, and Paragon is definitely a Diablo phrase for me because that's when I first heard it was, you know, in Diablo. But it's dirty, man. If you've played Diablo 3, you hate it more than likely. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's like, I love Paragon, but yeah, they named it poorly. I agree.
Yeah. But yeah, so I do think that this is light years ahead. And so we'll kind of, it's going to be hard to dive into, especially for people to just listen in, because there's like a lot of images associated with this. But basically, it's kind of cool. So there's like node types, right? So you've got your tiles, which you've got common, magic, rare, and legendary. The common are going to be like most of the grays you see here on the chart. It fills out the majority of the tree, or these tiles. And those will give you just like +5 main stat, or for example. And then there's blues, and I actually don't even see any instances of blues on this whole thing. So
yeah, I didn't see any either, actually.
But blues will give you like maybe, for the example they use is like +10 fire res. Which, you know, I'm okay with. And then rare will give you like a specific thing, but with a stat requirement. So what they show you on these charts is like, so say if you were trying to get this rare node, you'd have to build out like 175 strength around, you know, to be able even to unlock that power. So something to consider. So like you can see here that they've like chosen to cluster up, you know, certain areas, because like maybe it's got a stat requirement surrounding that. So that would be why you would pick like this whole cluster instead of just like beelining
the straight path. Yeah.
Which, I mean, is an interesting idea, I guess. But you know, certainly filling out this whole cluster like this guy's done of like, I just got like, you just got +5 strength for all these nodes. Is that like something you're going to be really excited about as you level?
Yeah, not at all.
Probably not. I do think the Path of Exile system of like, you're not ever really clustering. You're like, you're always going towards some goal. And because you're not here and you are like clustering just to get to a goal that you can already reach is kind of weird, but we'll have to see.
Do you remember, I can't remember, and I skimmed through and I didn't see it again. Are these boards randomized or are they set in stone?
They are set. And
okay,
we'll get more into that in a bit.
Yeah, because that changes a little how I feel about the system as well. So,
but yeah, and then there's legendary tiles, and legendary tiles, it doesn't show, it will always be at the center of a tile. So these little 4 doors on each side that they kind of talk about next is the gate tiles. Gate tiles is what it is. So you'll be able to unlock more gate tiles. We don't know how many gate tiles will be present, or like, will they be multiple versions of like a legendary power on specific, like, well, maybe gate tiles will even be like drops, who knows, you know? But yeah, and so like you'll get a new gate tile with a specific legendary in the center, and then you can attach it to the gate of like your starting area. And when you place it down, you have the option to rotate it, which, you know, is clearly stolen from like Wolcen. But
yeah, that's what I thought too.
I'm down with that. Like I think that I'm all for games stealing from other games if it fits, if it works, and it's not just a gimmick. And it doesn't seem like it would be a gimmick here, because you would want to start in an area you would be interested in. So I'm down with that. Like, what are your thoughts on this piece?
So I like that they did something better than the skill twig. You know, that skill tree that they showed off before was probably still in the game. So it's going to be a combination of systems that you have to realize as well. But I'm glad that they're expanding. I think this is a good start in the right direction of something more complex than the basic super basic,
light years ahead of what they had before.
So I'm happy. I'm happy that they're moving in this direction.
Yes,
I feel this is a huge win for complexity that Diablo 4 really needs to be a game that will keep us playing for more than a month.
Agreed.
Right? If Diablo 4 comes and resembles the simplicity of Diablo 3 in any way, like 3 months later, we're not playing the game. Like, and everybody has to realize that it's not going to keep you. It'll be awesome for 3 or 4 months and then you're done.
Yeah.
I think this is cool. I think so. This is a very early stage. I think that Blizzard put this in this blog post, and I honestly feel like this is the reason they put the blog post out early too. Why we got a second one is because I think that they had enough of a shape of the mold of this Paragon system that they wanted to feel the community's pulse before they continued to spend dev time in it and potentially get positive and good feedback to improve it early in the early adaptation stages. So I think it's really cool they put it out. I think it's a step in the right direction. I do think it needs some work. I'm not entirely, like you said, stoked about accessing 100 nodes of +5 strength or +1 strength or whatever they are.
Yeah.
I don't think that's super exciting, but at the same time, having a big skill tree like POE skill tree looks very daunting and very overwhelming at first when you first see it.
Sure.
But once you play the game a little bit, it's really not that bad.
Yeah.
It's really not. And I hope that Diablo goes that route. I really do. I think this is a good thing. I like the Wolcen style tiles flipping and matching.
Mm-hmm.
I think this has potential to be good.
I think the interesting thing here too is the opportunity for expansion, right? So we know these gate tiles will be static. Maybe there's multiple versions of static tiles, but they will be static. So they can continue to add these, maybe every season and really kind of mix up the game. And this seemingly, I'm sure once they figured out the formula of like how many nodes they need to put around like other nodes and like what works and doesn't work, like it'd be pretty easy to add extra tiles later on. So like this would be really easy new content.
And to rebalance the tiles too wouldn't be super drastic either. You know, they could rebalance them easily. When expansions hit or seasons hit, like you're saying, new characters are added. They can add more tiles and fix the tiles. I think it's a good system. I like something. I wish that they would add this and then also expand their skill tree and give us 2 different systems to think and plan around. I'm all about the complexity in D4. I want more of it. I'm going to lean drastically on the over complex versus the simplicity.
Yeah. And then the last thing on these like tiles are these sockets, which is a lot like Path of Exile on that point, but they're calling them glyphs. And glyphs are something you rank up through doing dungeons. And so they start out as like blue, and they have like a radius, a small radius for Path of Exile players is going to be very familiar. And as you level them up, the radius gets larger, and they increase the power of the nodes in range. And depending on their level, will give like an additional effect, which also sounds pretty cool. So you'll see on this map, like, you'll put the socket there, and it's going to enhance everything in that radius. So all these like +5 nodes are going to be like, 40% more strength, 40% more main stat. And I do like this personally.
It'd be cool if, and this is early preview, right? So there's still time to iterate on this. Like this, even the visuals of this look very basic, right? They're just trying to convey the message.
The concept,
like,
right?
This is what it's going to look like, right? Obviously, when we get the final product, it's going to look pretty and look awesome and cool and all that. So I think that hangs people up a little as well, but this is the starting point. They can add other things to this than main stat. Like maybe they can figure out ways like they stole from POE's, the glyphs. What do they call them? POE again? I forget the name.
It's just socketed.
The sockets, yeah. So it's just to throw the sockets in there and have the radius where it boosts stuff. Like there's things like that they can steal. From other games or new concepts that they can think up. Hopefully, so this is a good start. This is a good starting point. I feel 1,000,000,000%
better than what was there, right?
Like, did you guys remember the skill twig that they gave us? Like when that dropped, I was like, oh my god, we're doomed. Like this game is gonna suck.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's honestly how I felt, and it's like this is like, okay, we got something. Maybe
getting all the the weird creepy dudes out of Blizz like got all the bad idea guys out of there. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean,
maybe when they cleaned house, like those guys sucked at making video games. So
they're like, you had 4 years and you gave us a stick. Like,
it's like, sorry, I was too busy harassing women.
Yeah, I was too busy. Well, I was at the cube crawl last night, and I was like, hey, baby, you see my skill twig? Oh
and I'll never be invited to BlizzCon again. So yeah, that again, I think we're in agreement that infinitely better than it was. I think the last thing to take away from all this is I kind of briefly touch on, and some of the video shows it too, is that they seem to have gone from max level 40 to max level 100. I don't know if you caught any of that.
I didn't notice that. No.
Yeah, and so you start getting Paragon at level 50, and apparently you get like 4 points per level after 50. So when you're leveling from like 50 to 100, you're also getting Paragon. So Paragon's capped, which is great. Thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a kind of interesting change. So when you hit max level, you'll be max Paragon.
Paragon, because it's not. I agree. It's not even Paragon, man. It's like a skill tree. Honestly, I don't know. I hope they won't, but I think that they should rename it. So,
agree, 100%. Because this isn't even like Paragon as we think about. Because Paragon in D3 is stuff after max level. Paragon in Diablo Immortal is stuff after max level. In this game, it's not. It's like as you level. So there's skill points.
It's a bad naming choice for sure. So I don't think new players aren't going to know anyways, and old players have a bad connotation with Paragon. So either way, a new name I feel would fix it. But
1000%.
But yeah, I think it's good. I swear I thought somewhere that they released like a better image of like more final product style than this graph, but maybe I don't know where it was at. I looked really quick, I couldn't find it. So
and then moving into other stuff, some of the stuff that's just like kind of cool to see is like this kind of reminds me a lot of when Path of Exile started doing like when mobs would swing at you, they actually would think about directional swing, and it seems like Blizz has kind of taken a note from that. So if like, you know, like hit radius makes more sense. Before it was just like anything in a circle would get hit, and then they changed it to be like, you know, cones based on what your weapon actually is. Yeah, which is smart.
That's really cool. That's like modern gen technology. Yeah, you know, this is just engine upgrades, which is really cool. So it's not, and it honestly, like when you're in the heat of the moment in the game, you don't even really notice it because it just makes sense. Like your brain automatically goes, well, that's my weapon's hitting this guy. That's why he's flying. Right. You know, so.
Yeah. And you get that in D3 a lot. It's like, why didn't that guy get hit? Or, you know, because, you know, probably the cone is not quite right. Also, like casting, receiving, lighting, you know, this is some of the stuff they've kind of already touched on, but they're just showing like more examples of it. Like, yeah. It looks neat.
The game's beautiful. Like we know.
We get it.
I think we get it. I can vouch. Can personally vouch. The game looks fucking amazing. So.
Right. And they do like dynamic player skills. Ooh, God, sound. So basically, as you like level skills modifiers, it's gonna change how the skill looks, which is amazing.
It's very subtle, but really cool. Like I think that's, you know, especially in PvP too. You would probably notice. You know, I don't know if you would in the heat of the battle be like, oh, he's got juiced up slam. He's a slam barb or something like that. Instantly, you might be able to tell. You know.
It makes me think that like there won't be like alternate skill effects though, which I think like from a PvP perspective, you don't want that, right? Like if there were PvP in D4, you don't want people to do alternate skill effects because then you can't really tell what people are casting unless you had like every alternate skill effect memorized. So
well, I think you would probably learn pretty quick. I mean, think about when I'm playing Apex, you'll see like a billion different caustics and different skins. You know what I mean? And you still recognize it pretty quick what the character is.
Yeah, the character, but like what they're casting. If it was like, you know, a poison ability, but you've changed it to be red, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they have to limit some on the school type, you know. I hope they have alternate spells. I think it's an easy win for a shop item or cool cosmetic rewards that you earn in game are huge motivators for me personally. I know some people aren't cosmetic hunters, but I am. And then also I think they're a huge win for monetary if they sell some too. I don't want them to sell all of them. I think that's a little too much for a game that's probably going to have a price tag on it and not be free to play. But yeah, they got to put cosmetics in there.
And then they kind of showcase some of the weapon VFX, which I mean is cool to see. I got.
They gave us some juice in this one, so I'm cool for the filler.
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah. And so they're showing off like, okay, the weapon. You know, if I'm being honest though, like I wasn't too impressed by these for some reason. The game looks great, but I don't know. To me, it just wasn't that impressive. These weren't that impressive for some reason.
Yeah. I'm with you. Like you got a flaming sword. Like what are you really gonna do?
Yeah.
To the flaming sword. Like we've seen that for 10 years in video games. Like it looks cool though. Right. I guess.
I think this
like if you didn't have it, you'd be like, what the hell, Blizz?
Yeah. This was the most interesting. So they're like the way they're building mobs is kind of like from the ground up to die based on like so they're showing the muscular structure because when you cast a fire, like a flame bolt onto like a bad guy and he's got fur, it's gonna like light them on fire. When they die, like they're gonna burn up. And so like they're like breaking down to the skeletal structure to like showcase like, okay, if you kill a mob,
realistic when you cut somebody's body in half, they want a realistic like, well, your swing made where his heart would be at. Let's have that pump. Like it's pretty nasty. I guess it's cool.
Yeah. You know. And so they give some examples like the sorceress will like freeze dudes, singe with lightning, or like burn with scorch a monster's flesh, right? The barb will be able to crush, like flatten a monster, or decapitate, remove monster's head, cut in half.
Like, so there's a thing like Assassin's Creed Valhalla was really gory for like they took it up a level. And when you would kill somebody in that game, a lot of times you would like, you know, get a finisher animation where you chop their head off or cut them in half or like chop a whole arm off. And the first couple times you do it, you're like, oh my God, that's nasty, right? But it never really gets old. Like you could still play that game, you know, 100 hours later and be like, you still giggle a little bit when you cut some dude's head off, right? So I'm happy they're stepping the gore game up. Maybe I'm just dark, you know, and
I think it'll be really
enjoyment out of that, but
interesting because like we'll start playing the game and for like that first month or two we'll be like, oh God, that's so gross, right? And then we're gonna become like desensitized to it, and then people are like come over like, oh, what are you playing? And then they're gonna be like, oh my God, that's so gross. And you're like, you don't even see it anymore.
What's gross?
Right?
Yeah. Oh God, I didn't even notice them.
I'm like, God, you're a sociopath.
Yeah. Well, a month down the road we'll have sound turned off and like, you know, everything else.
Music, right?
Right.
Also break lower limbs, so like the lower body's shattered, which is super gross. The shadow can like spill the insides of a monster, like so like intestines and stuff will come out. Shadow could deteriorate life from a monster's flesh. Freeze and shatter, the same thing we saw from the sorceress. Poison, hell yeah. Skin melts, leaving a heap of muscle and bone, and then flay the skin from an enemy. So I think there's something that's kind of interesting here is how they're so specific to each one. And I thought that Druid might have poison as well, but the fact that they don't mention it, I don't know. Maybe we're getting some insight here as to like what elemental types each class will do. But lastly,
what did they just list for Druid? Let me look at it.
Druid is roadkill. The monster is crushed by a moving object. Devour. The monster's flesh is eaten away by a swarm of vicious bites. Lightning Gib causes the monster's body to pop, exploding, and then maul the monster completely mangled, covering in blood.
So Druids might be lightning and then physical damage.
Yeah, lightning, physical.
Just a lot of physical.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yep.
Who knows? What was this?
You think they're going to have more shapes than Wolf Bear? Wolf Bear human?
I don't know. Like, obviously, Wolf Bear are 100% going to be in for nostalgia purposes, but I would think
Wolf Bear human, and then like something else.
What's that stupid?
Like, see, that's something that the Paragon tree could unlock. You know what I mean?
More
like,
forms.
Give you form. Like I think they should put things like that in there.
Yeah, I think they should have skills on the actual
Paragon board. Okay. Yeah. So do, you know, a new form.
Maybe.
So,
but that was kind of the whole article, which I don't say that in a way that's like, oh, that was unimpressive. Like that was maybe the juiciest one we've ever gotten.
Yeah, I agree. It was pretty good.
So big. But one of the things that Reddit pointed out immediately on one of the videos is like we're hitting for crazy numbers. So 254,000.
Yeah.
This guy's not even max level. He's level 50. So yeah, it seems like, what are we doing again? We're gonna do this
Already?
where we have like one T
already?
pop
Really?
up, you know, like
Yeah.
that would definitely be a problem. So hopefully that gets addressed so that, you know, because this is why we get these crazy amounts of lag in D3. Like this is
How do you
proven.
feel? Well, I hope the engine has already addressed that. They
Sure.
have to have been like, okay, we're gonna be able to calculate damage numbers in like the quadrillion, billion, whatever the number is above quintillion. I don't even know. Right. So, but what about the speed of the game too, though? Like I don't want to see it go super turbocharged like POE has gotten at this point and D3 has gotten at this point, where you're zooming so fast that
Even
you're
D2,
barely
I
even
mean,
seeing the screen.
you get Enigma and you're doing that, yeah.
How do you feel about it? Do you want it to stay slower? Or do you want it to get the zoom level?
I don't know.
I'm okay. I'm okay with having movement abilities, but to zip from one side of the screen to the other, that's okay. But to continuously just like teleport through a level at blazing speed.
Yeah. I mean, we can't go back, right? Like D3 could never be like, okay, we're gonna like.
No, you can never slow it down. Once you cross that barrier, you can't go back.
So I think if the game starts as like very methodical and slow, and it never gets to that point, then we're fine. But if they're like, they take away Ningyam or something somewhere along the road, yeah, then we have a problem.
I want them to truncate the damage numbers at least better than Diablo 3. Like it, you know, I want the 254K, but I don't want to see like 2,400K. I want to like just say 2 million, please.
Yeah.
You know
even if it's like, to me, even if it's a matter of like, well, the new engine can handle any calculation we can throw at it. To me, it's like, well, we know this was the cause of like lag in past games. So like, why are we even messing with like inflating numbers? Like, don't even like risk the potential of like later on is like, okay, well, maybe it is actually a problem or something like that.
Yeah. It's not a problem until you get, 50 million people all calculating a quadrillion at the same time.
Especially with like these, group raid encounters that are being in the open world, right? World bosses. Right. Like there's going to be a lot of people hitting for numbers.
I'm not scared about that. I think they'll have that under control.
I hope so.
I hope they'll have that under control. But just from a readability standpoint, it's a lot easier to process. I just hit for 850 versus I just hit for 8,563,251. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like, what? I just hit for 8 million. You're just going to truncate it, right? Yeah. In your head, you're going to go, I just hit for 8.
It's silly. I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of like the big takeaway negative from that.
Yeah, that is interesting. I didn't even notice.
Actually, one thing that I skipped, I just remembered. Where is it? All right, improvement supposed to be. I think it was before the hunt for items, maybe. I could have sworn somewhere they were talking about like taking power away from items and putting some back in like the character. Or maybe that was the last post. Probably gone over.
I don't know. That maybe have been in the opening paragraph, but
here we go. In past games, we received feedback that it seems deflating for so much character's power to be derived through gear that they have equipped. Customizing and planning characters feels less rewarding. It doesn't play a big role in how the character performs in combat. So, like in D2, you run out naked and you're not totally and completely worthless. I don't know that. I was reading over this 100 times. I was like, man, like, how do I feel about this? Like, why are you taking your gear off ever? Do I care? Like, okay, yeah, in D3, you put on your gear, you take off any piece of gear, and you're no longer able to like farm like Torment 16, right? But why are you taking your gear off? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with your power coming from gear. I think maybe their point of that is to say that they don't want the gear to be the only factor in your performance on your character.
Sure.
I think your planning and development of your character means you can screw up your Paragon board and make your character suck, or you can plan it very well and compete even though you don't have the best gear. Maybe that's what they're getting at, and I'm okay with that. That's fine. But I do think the majority of your power should come from your gear as long as you plan your character properly. If you're an idiot and you screw them up, then
the major focus should be like making a system that's fun over like, ooh, where does your power come from? Majority wise, I would hate them.
I would love the next blog post to be in-game activities. I think that's what we need at this point. And maybe they're scared to bring them up because they don't want other people to steal them. Maybe they don't have them fleshed out. I don't know. But at this time, like the game's been announced for 3 years almost now. And we still don't know anything other than dungeons.
Right.
I guess that's not entirely true. They let us into some of the PvP systems. In BlizzCon.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to see. I think the Paragon board's going the right direction. It needs to be fleshed out a lot, but it's going the right direction. I would love to see what they're going to have us to do. Like, what are we grinding in the end game? You know,
agreed. Not Paragon, thank God.
yeah, right. So what are we grinding though? If we're not grinding Paragon,
well, we know we're leveling glyphs. That's the only thing we got from this.
We're leveling glyphs, and we're gonna find legendaries to break them down to gems to farm yellows to make them legendary, right? So I don't know.
Yeah. I still want them to. Yeah, I think the end game. I'm with you. Like that's a pretty. I'd love to see that. I also see like some crafting updates. Like I say time and time again, the Path of Exile deemed Harvest League as too noob, and I think Harvest League was like maybe the best crafting in any ARPG of all time. So like just steal it because Path of Exile doesn't want it. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Do it up.
Do it, Blizz.
Yeah, I don't know. As somebody that doesn't know crafting in PoE, it would be interesting. I would be interested to see it. I wish I could learn PoE crafting without having to play the game for 17,000 hours to see how I felt about it. So
right on. And then the action doesn't stop there for Blizz and Blizzard games. So Diablo 2 Resurrected patch 2.4 is coming soon. This is posted on December 15th. And the thing that we've been talking about since D2R came out is, well, what's the future of D2? Like what is this going to be the same game? And are they going to update it? And so finally we have our answers. Yes, we actually are going to get updates to Diablo 2 Resurrected, which is phenomenal and would make me actually consider playing versus, I just had no interest in playing a game that I already played.
I wonder how pissed off the purists are right now.
Yeah, I gotta think they're not. I think here's the play, and I think that they've done a good, smart thing here. We see nothing about nerfs at all, which is 100% the right play. There's nothing
was the
should
D3
be nerfed.
Strat back in the day too, if you remember. That's why we have trillions of damage.
So I think the only thing they should ever do in D2R is like if they decide to buff something or rebalance something, and then it becomes too powerful, and then you have to back that up. You don't change anything about like the normal game. You know what I mean? I think that this is the way. I think they know that though. I think the Vicarious Vision guys, like they're on it. This is their game. Blah blah blah. Right? Like they.
I think the people on the D2 team, the Blizzard guys, I think they know, they get it too. Some of the guys have played a lot. So I'm happy with the changes. I think that it's a good thing. I'm glad that they're updating the game.
Yes,
for everybody.
So if you guys don't know what they're doing, so they're finally doing ladders upcoming. I guess they're to a point where they feel like they've figured out enough of the issues that they're confident doing a ladder. Fingers crossed that works out.
Is there still a login queue? If you guys are watching this VOD on YouTube, comment below if you still get the queues.
Curious as well
when you try to log in, because I'm curious. I haven't loaded it up in a while.
And we're gonna see the exact same ladders that we saw in D2, at least for the first ladder season, whatever you want to call it, first ladder. So that's pretty cool, especially for the guys that are gonna be competitive. I'd love to see.
They're doing the 4 ladders. The expansion, non-expansion, softcore, hardcore. So that's cool. You can pick your flavor.
They kind of do a brief overview of what they're changing for each class, and we'll dig into that because I got a better post about this. And then they're changing mercenaries and adding new rune words, so that's pretty huge.
Yeah,
that's a big change to the game. New content, not just rebalance, new stuff. So big. And so we actually have this Reddit post of exactly what has changed. They did a live stream with Mr. Llama, which is amazing. He's got to be the happiest person on the planet. He's going to play this game for the next 100 years, like literally. So it's awesome.
His kids will be forced to play it too. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah.
But yeah. Farming for me.
So basically, the ladders will last 4 months. There's going to be new rumors. And the changes per class, you can see on this post, like Amazon's getting improved slow missiles, increases, just some like various stuff. Fend is faster. Valkyrie casting delay is reduced. I never really played in Amazon, so all that's foreign language to me. Assassin martial arts only consumes 1 charge. Updating tool blade traps go faster. Bar Warcry improvements. Pierce chance. Blah blah blah. Like, yeah, there's just like a whole list here. I'll post this in chat actually. And I'll actually post this to YouTube as well. This is much better.
I just like how the note
breakdown.
says improving leap and leap attack so it could be better. It's just like so it could be better.
Be better.
It's like it's garbage. We're just gonna make it better.
The only thing that makes sense to me here is the Necro, the skeletal mages are getting buffs, which is big. The blood and fire golem, cool. Which never touch, other than while leveling, are getting some improvements. Iron Gauntlet Thorns, Resident Sleeper. Bone skills are getting scaling improvements. Bone armor is getting more damage absorbed, and the weakened's getting better. So poggers.
But no poison buffs.
No poison buffs. No poison dagger buffs. What the hell, Blizz?
I know. That's what I'm saying, man.
I'm with you there.
That's actually what I was looking for off the bat. I'm like, oh, they got buff some poison? No.
Yeah. Rip. And then we can see here the mercenary update. So Act 2 mercs are not being nerfed. I think that's important to say. Act 2 is like, it's the only one you want. It was like the Crusader, back before they made all the changes. Act 1 monks are getting new range skills with AoE damage. Act 2 auras will not be difficulty restricted, so that's cool. You don't have to wait till, like, what is it, hell to get the right one. Act 3 Murphs are buffed, and Act 5 are getting improved war cries with HP and defense improvements. So, big.
Nice.
And they also show off at least 2 new rune words here. I don't know if that's all we're getting or what, but I like the way this looks. 3-socket weapon with Poison Nova on striking, lower res when struck, and then plus all skills, and then minus enemy poison resistance. So like this is right up my alley for a Poison Nova Necro. I like it. And then there's like a 3-socket claw with stuff. I have no idea. I've never played this set. They're getting some set item updates, zone changes, and I think there was one other thing to note here. Maybe not. But pretty big. I mean, like, for a billion-year-old game, think of your Mr. Llama right now. Like, you got to be freaking out, right? Imagine we're still
a game
playing
that's been just
D3,
sitting
right?
on the shelf for 15 years, and they're just like, okay, here, we're gonna...
Imagine next Diablo 3 patch, like, we actually get new endgame content. Like, our minds would be blown, So...
I couldn't even imagine what they could do. Like, at this point, it's been so long. It's like, what could you do besides greater risk? Like, if you gave us anything, I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
I know. It'd be nuts. So
what do you feel? So this, they talk about mercenaries a lot. How do you feel about mercenaries in D4?
I hate, like, we've gone over this 100 times. I don't, like, if I want to have people follow, like, NPCs following me and, like, doing my bidding, I want to play a pet class and like be into that lore. Like I'll play a necro and have some like skeletons.
I hate it, man.
I hate it.
I hope there's no mercenary in D4.
I agree.
I really do, and I'm kind of nervous they're going to put one in there.
Yeah,
I'm really nervous they're going to put it in there. I hope they don't.
I agree.
So
100%.
If you guys agree, then like we need to start a petition. No merc in D4.
No mercs.
Get some signatures or something, because I just dislike it. I've always disliked it. I've hated it since day one in every game ever that's had it.
Yep.
So
if
I'm with you. If I want pets, man, I'm gonna play a necro.
Play a pet, dude. Right? Yeah.
That's it. Right. Like, that as soon as you see any RPG game ever, if there's like necro as a choice, it's like, okay, there's my pets. Like, I got a summon class. Boom.
I even hate so say you're playing a DH and D3 and like maybe you don't have a full bar of stuff that's useful, so you like get the wolf just for like a little temp damage buff, and then you got like a wolf following around. Like, I didn't sign up for this. He's the best thing I could put on my bar. Like, I don't want a wolf.
I didn't sign up for this. I don't like this.
Like, even stuff like that like bothers me.
Yeah. I don't necessarily like the pets that follow you around in D3 look cool at times, but when I'm actually out in the game world, I don't like them because they distract me. I'm like, oh, is that a monster that I need to attack? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
anything on the screen you want to kill, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see them sometimes and be like, oh, I need to kill that thing. In social areas, I'm fine with it. I don't really care. But
Yeah.
I hope if there's benefits or buffs to any kind of mercenary or pet in D4, it'd be nice to just make it like invisible. Like, can I turn them off and still get the buff? You know, I don't want it.
And now, okay, so something that we've talked about on the podcast when we initially started talking about D2R before the game even came out. Like,
Okay.
what are they going to do about this loot situation, right? The whole free-for-all thing, it's dated, it's stupid, it's crap. Well, so I don't even, someone got murdered over D2 loot.
Wow, dude.
So according to the interview, there's basically someone dropped something in town and then someone like joined and like ganked it. And then like basically it ended in a shooting, which is nutty.
I'm glad. Like, what if, we jokingly talk about, the purists and that stuff. What if they listened to the pod and they didn't like one of our ideas? Like, these guys are crazy enough to shoot somebody over pixels. You know what I mean? Over pixels.
But like, this just proves how bad of a system. No, I'm just kidding. But like, it is a terrible system.
Sharing loot feels real bad though. It really does.
Yeah.
So,
but guys,
I can tell you that
actually kill each other over loot.
I played WoW with some people that were in the Cali area, and they had like single digit MS ping to the server.
Mm-hmm.
My ping was like 40-ish. Their ping is 6 or 7. And when we had free for all looting on and we're trying to loot items, I would lose every single time. Like I couldn't loot stuff.
Yeah.
So and we're talking milliseconds, man. We're talking 35 milliseconds is the difference between getting an item and not getting an item. So it just feels bad. It's dated, but I don't think they'll change it. So.
Yeah, I don't think they will either. Okay, now buckle in.
Don't murder your friends.
Just buckle in, chat. This is everyone's favorite. It only happens once every 3 months on the podcast. Probably we talk about everyone's favorite game, Wolcen. Let's go. So they're about to come out with some content. I think it's called Wolcen Arise. And it's going to have like 4 new end game activities, which is, it's good. It's a good amount of content.
They add a parachute for falling through the world? No parachute item? Okay. Sorry.
New monsters, new abilities, new attack patterns. And then there's a war table. I don't really know what that means, but Wolcen things are happening.
You play Wolcen way more than I did. Yeah. I honestly didn't fall in love with the game, but I will say I did play through, and the in-game act bosses at launch, if we call it a launch, at half launch, they were fun, man. They were challenging. They were hard. I was playing a summoner, necro, whatever you want to call it in Wolcen.
Right.
And they were broken. They did no damage, and I basically had to beat the Act 2 boss without getting hit. I literally I clipped it at the time. I don't know if I still have it, but I had to memorize every single attack and do the entire boss without getting hit to succeed. The difficulty was amazing to me. Like, I loved the bosses. I thought they were fun. Everything else about the game, I didn't find that fun, but the bosses, I'm like, okay, I'm digging it.
Mm-hmm,
so
yeah. But this post is talking about the new stuff that's coming, but it's also like telling everyone that they're going to delay it until they don't want to like release the content. They were going to release the content before break, but they wanted, devs around so they could do their once per week dev cycles or something. But yeah, again, I want the best. We all want good ARPGs to play. So I would love to see them keep doing stuff, but yeah, their pace of development is still a little slow.
Yeah. Did they say how much they delayed it?
Until after break, basically. Started this year.
At least they learned not to put out broken content.
Yeah, agreed.
And then
meant to talk about this a little bit earlier, but a former Blizz employee, there's like a 1-minute clip. It's real fast, where he's just like, as a former employee, he's basically like, nah, Blizz is done. Like, they are a shell of what they used to be. You know, everyone, it was like the idea of people, they're all gone, and like it's all about money now, and blah, 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 which, you know, we've speculated. And I'm not saying that, oh, this guy is 100% knowing of all things, but it's not great when like employees speak about. It's like Glassdoor, right? Like,
yeah, he's probably salty too.
Sure.
You know, like if he got fired or whatever, but or if he left because he didn't get his raise or whoever. But yeah, man, I think we're seeing the writing on the wall a little bit. Like what quality content have they put out? Let's go back 5 years. Like in the last 5 years, what have they dropped that's been like, damn, this is amazing?
Yeah. And I think that someone just said in chat, I was just about to say it too, is like, I still cannot believe that like Bobby Kotick is just not being forced out. Like that is 100% the play that needs to happen, and it's just not, and it's fucking triggering.
They'll kill them if he gets forced out.
Yeah, I guess so.
If they're scared of Bobby the murderer, man. And I don't know. I'm joking, by the way. Bobby, don't sue me. I'm trying to think of what the last Blizzard quality product they put out. Like, to me, Overwatch was fabulous when it came out. I loved Overwatch when it dropped, and I played it. Since Overwatch, which I don't even remember when that launched. I want to say, God, was it 2016, 2017? I don't know. But the last couple WoW expansions have been horrible. The last two have been bad regardless. So that's 4 years of bad WoW expansions. Diablo 3 didn't get an update from like what, 2017 all the way to like late 2018 or some shit. It was like a year and a half of no Diablo 3 updates at all. What else did they? I mean, Hearthstone, I guess, does okay. I don't play Hearthstone. So I
play Diablo, so I wouldn't consider like D2R because it's like a re-release of an old game, you know. So.
I mean, they did a good job with it. Sure. It seems, well, kind of like graphically, and they had some launch issues too. But you know, I think D2R is a win, but not. It's not. Yeah, I wouldn't count it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably right. They need something, man. They need a win. So.
Yeah. And then in other news. So, Torchlight 3 was like just last year, right? That this game came out and flopped. And now there's a trailer for Torchlight Infinite, which is another isometric ARPG that's going to be coming out.
Is it an expansion? Is it a new game?
The new game. It very much looks like Torchlight 3. Like.
Maybe they're going COD formula and they're just going to pump a new game out every year.
I can't maximize the gameplay. We can see some of it on their main site. It looks very much like Torchlight 3. Very, very much like Torchlight 3. It's very cartoony, very cartoonish, which, you know, we're not crazy about, but I don't know.
I'm okay with cartoony as long as the gameplay is fun. I'd prefer it not to be, but that's not a deal breaker to me if the gameplay is warrant.
Yeah, the gameplay is good. Like, you can get over the graphics. I don't love D3's graphics.
Yeah, but I agree. I don't like or POE for that matter.
But I will say this web design's pretty good.
The web designer gets caught up in the
yeah, like I guess, you know, I'm hopeful that the trailer's goofy and it's cartoony.
Did you watch Arcane yet?
No.
Fuck me, dude.
I started it, but I just can't. Like, I cannot get into cartoons as a grown ass man.
What?
I cannot.
Oh my god, dude. That's like saying you can't play games because you're a grown ass man.
No, it's not.
It is. It is, man.
No, incorrect. I can't watch cutscenes as a grown ass man either. You know, like.
Arcane was so good. That just reminds me a little bit of it. Seeing the animation. I mean, Arcane was next level animation, but it was good.
But on the Torchlight 3, torchlight.xd.com, you can sign up for the closed beta. I did that because, of course, I'm going to try any ARPG probably, even if I hate myself for it. I mean, I played Warhammer Chaos
It can't be worse than that Magic.
Yeah, and that one was really bad,
Magic
too.
One was bad, dude. Yeah. I played that for 30 minutes, and I was like, done. I'm done. Uninstalled it right then. Like, this is horrible. If you're gonna make an ARPG, an isometric ARPG, and you let the person move the camera, like, you've already failed.
Yeah, agreed.
You're done.
100% agree. And then, of course, last but not least, Path of Exile decided to delay their next big expansion. This is the rotation that's going to be the big one, but now it's going to be early February. And this has some, big PoE people kind of an uproar because if you guys don't know, February 11th, I think, is the Lost Ark release date. So that sucks. Especially if it's the big one.
GGG was smart and they moved it for Cyberpunk. Maybe they should already know, but maybe they'll reconsider.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough choice. I mean, not a tough choice, but yeah, I hate that. I just hate that. Like, I'm going to be so excited for Lost Ark to finally hit NA. And there's going to be that sexy, sweet juice of a game just coming out finally. This game that we've been talking about on the podcast, like, since episode 1.
Yeah. 2017. It's been like 4 years.
It's not even a joke. Since episode 1, we've been talking about this game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that really sucks, and especially this is PoE's big. If it was like 2 leagues ago and it's still like the smaller one or whatever, it'd be like, okay, cool, I'll just skip this league. But this is the big one, so
yeah,
the big ones are always juicy AF.
Well, I mean, you got
the last big one was Ritual,
right?
Yeah, true. We're boys.
Just call them up. Be like, Chris, listen. This is what we gotta do. You know?
So
you're gonna pay Shroud to play. Like, just go ahead and wait a couple. You don't want to waste that Shroud money. So
yeah. So yeah, not the best news in the world. Hopefully they delay more, but I doubt it.
Yeah, chat's naming off other games that are coming out: Elden Ring, Destiny 2, Dying Light.
Who?
D2 Ladder.
Oh, D2 Ladder's D2 or February.
D2 Ladder as well. Yeah. So I'm sure Diablo 3 will have a season starting around that time as well. You know what I mean? Might as well, come on, let's line it all up. Same day. Like, this, it's the takedown GGG.
Yeah, imagine
plan.
D3 actually got new endgame content and it was also early February. Like, fuck off, all these companies,
I can't even imagine new in-game content in D3. Like,
it's ridiculous.
You had me at new.
But yeah, that's pretty much, I mean, I said that's pretty much it. That was insane.
That's some good stuff, man. We got some questions from the audience for this week.
We we'll go over those. PChild loves.
And we got some fluff hates and PChild loves.
I have a both.
You got a both? A love and a hate?
I do.
I mean, you're supposed to be the negative one.
I know.
Let's go.
Okay, so I'm starting my loves. Have you seen Don't Look Up?
I did.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Okay. It was good. I don't say I'm in love with it. It was a watchable though.
Because it's just like so real. Like,
yeah. Because
people are so fucking dumb.
I thought it was hilarious. Well, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil it. People who haven't seen it.
Yeah. It's on Netflix.
I'm telling you, we need to do like a movie review pod.
Yeah.
Segment.
We should even do like a challenge.
You know what I mean? And just because we could talk about the shows and stuff. Like we could have had so many good episodes when Game of Thrones was in full swing. You know?
Yep.
And plus your taste's horrible, so I gotta help you.
Okay, dude. What movie you talked about some movie that was god awful, and then I did, and oh my god, Matrix. Holy
yeah, dude.
That's got to be like maybe the worst movie I've fucking ever seen.
I don't even want to talk about it, to be honest. Like, no. So Eternals was still way worse. Like, really? Let's just put that out there. Yeah, Eternals was worse.
I can't see that. I cannot.
I didn't even want to talk about Matrix because I didn't want to influence people's thought process going into it, right? Because if you hear people say that a movie sucks and then you go sit down and watch it, like, you're going to automatically kind of think this movie sucks before you even make your own opinion, you know? So I didn't even want to say that, but dude,
it felt like a dubbed over.
It was really bad. Cheap. It was so bad. And it was like about 30 minutes into it, is when you start to realize, like, this is it. Yeah. Like it's not going to get better. This is it.
I love how they couldn't even like afford the previous actors, so they just like came up with a plot loophole to bring like the characters back.
Well, they had the two main ones, and honestly, Lawrence Fishburne, who was Morpheus in the first one, like I think he's pretty aged and doesn't look very Morpheus these days. He looks more like, you know, a round version of more. He's put on like 300 pounds.
Yeah,
but yeah, man, it's unfortunate, dude. I was pretty hyped for that movie. I kind of knew it was gonna suck because Matrix 2 and 3 also sucked. The first Matrix was so fucking good.
Yep.
It was just so good that no matter how many Matrix movies they make, I'll always watch them. I'll always go pay money and always watch them because the first one was so good. I'm like, can you recapture that, please?
Yeah. And that they tried to recapture it so hard in this film. Yeah. And it was just so fucking cringe.
Like I literally on a napkin could write a better plot line in probably 30 minutes.
Easily.
You know, like anybody could. Like any of you guys could just think up some fantasy story,
some 6-year-old with a crayon,
and it would be fucking better than the one that they came up with. And like, I wish I could ruin it and say, like his job in the movie. What was that? Like, are you sitting? Man, it bugs me on so many levels. So, yeah. So what's your love? You loved the Up movie, the Don't Look Up, and you hated Matrix.
Yep.
Okay. So man, I've seen a lot. So my wife and I started watching Yellowstone. Somebody in stream or chat, somebody told me to watch Yellowstone. I think it was from stream. And I've never really got into it. But I watched the first episode of Yellowstone and I was like, it's all right. And then by episode 3, I was super hooked. My wife and I have binge watched the first 2 seasons in like 3 days.
Damn.
Like we're you know, we both get off work, do dinner, cook dinner or whatever, and then we'll sit in bed till like 1 a.m. watching Yellowstone. Like it's pretty stupid. But it's good, man. I really like it. And it's not even my thing. So it's a pretty cool show.
Trying the first episode. So
I thought so after the first episode, my wife goes, "What'd you think?" And I go, and it's just funny is because it's like I would have expected her to not like it and me to like it because I kind of grew up in the country. And I was like, eh. And she was like, I liked it. Let's watch another one. And I'm like, all right. I was like, I'll watch 1 because you want to. If it was up to me, I wouldn't have watched episode 2. But by episode 3, I was done. I'm like, let's go. Next one. So I like it. So Yellowstone's really good. I watched all of Wheel of Time since the last podcast we've had.
Okay.
I thought Wheel of Time started off horrible. Episode 1 and 2 were not very good. And by the season finale, very good. Like really? Very, very good.
Okay.
So
what would you give it out of 10?
That's hard, man. I would say I give it a 7.5, maybe an 8. Like it's enough that I definitely want season 2 to come out. I would be bummed out if they canceled it, right?
Chat, call that real quick. What would you guys give it out of 10?
I would say, I don't know. I'll say 7.5. And then I also watched Witcher season 2, and I loved Witcher season 2. Okay. Witcher season 2 was very good.
I find myself watching Witcher season 2 and just constantly tuning out because I just get like too in the weeds with stuff. Like I don't have the time to like Google to remember something on a show. I don't know. So I just like find myself like on my phone, which I hate.
Witcher definitely has a pacing to them. And Game of Thrones did this a little bit too. They had their action episodes and then they have their like dialogue episodes where it's like a bunch of people just talking about, you know, all the plots in the background. I think the Witcher action episodes really carried hard this season. The dialogue ones I didn't mind that much personally, but my wife kind of was like you. She was like, "Oh, this one's kind of boring," you know. Yep. So I thought Witcher 2 was great. Season 2 was great. It made me reinstall the game, and I want to finish Witcher 3. I've been chugging at it, so I'm almost finished with the main campaign in Witcher 3. So,
back to Wheel of Time though. Yes, someone that read the books. The show ended up being, quite different. Feeling very rushed. I thought the way that things were unveiled in the book were 100% more interesting. I understand why they made some of the choices they did in the show. But overall I'd probably give it a 6. based because I can't look at it from your perspective as someone's just like watching.
Yeah,
it as
it's
a
different
show.
when you read the books, right? It's like if you
Right.
read The Hobbit and then you go watch the Hobbit movie, you're like, what the F are they doing here? You know, like I get that.
Yeah.
It's same for Lord of the Rings. Like I read the not Lord of the Rings. I meant Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, whatever the actual books are called. I read the books and then you watch the TV show and you're like, that shit didn't happen. You know, like where's this character at? So I get it.
Some interesting things though that happened. So you know Matt, right, from the show, one of the three boys. The guy that touched the dagger, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
He's already been recast for season 2, I thought he did a good job. I guess he just didn't want to do like a bunch of seasons, I guess.
Really? He didn't like money? Like, okay.
Guess. So like that always sucks. That like
okay.
a main character is just gonna like be different.
I think I didn't like his character that much anyways though. So, you know, not super upset.
But on another note, they cast like a grill for season 2 to be like this one of the main characters who's just like she is a good looking gal. So looking forward to season 2. She
is it just she's good looking or she's famous and we know her?
Well, like in the book, she's supposed to be like insanely good looking. And they did a good cast.
Okay.
I didn't know who she was until
Gail got out or however you say her name. They cast her. Dude, she's got to be like top 1
really
in the world.
Over Margot? I don't know. I don't know, dude.
For sure, definitely.
No Australian accent, so
yeah, you can. I don't. Yeah, that doesn't matter. So, no, that's cool. Like I thought it was a good show though. I think with Wheel of Time, if you're gonna get into it, you definitely have to make it past the first couple episodes. It picks up pace significantly as you go through it. So,
yeah,
I think they had a very, very weak first episode. So,
I think they should have opened with the open from the book and not the cold open that they did in episode 1. It just didn't really make sense. The cold open in episode 7 was pretty amazing. The big fight. Did you like that?
I'm trying to remember.
The spears.
It's been a little...
You know, the lady with the spears.
Oh, the
fight scene.
Yeah, and then she gave something away. Yeah. Okay, that
was good. That was a good open.
Yeah, that would have been a good start. Yeah. What else do we have? I guess that's it for the PChild loves, Fluff hates. Let's jump into some Twitter questions. The first question comes from Moon. If you guys want to submit questions to the podcast, you can drop them in my Discord, Fluff's Discord, or you can tweet at us on Twitter, and we'll get them from all the places. Moon says, it looks like a lot of people are upset that D4 is becoming more like POE after reading the blog post. Did you expect this?
People are upset?
That's what he says.
Wow.
I didn't see that personally, but I didn't go looking for it.
I browsed Reddit thoroughly for this podcast. I didn't see negative feedback. I mean, the only negative feedback I saw was like still not enough. Yeah. Right? It wasn't that like, oh my god, this is too complicated.
But at face value, let's just assume that you saw stuff we didn't see. But does it surprise me? I would think there's probably a huge audience of Diablo players that are more casual. I do think that they have catered to the casual for a long time. And I do feel that there is a strong casual presence to Diablo's franchise. I hope they get away from that. And I think it would be a service to their game in the long run. I think catering to the casual up front might have more financial gain. I think over the long period of 5 to 10 years, the hardcore would bring them more money. That's kind of how I feel. So I think some people will hate the Paragon tree or grid or whatever the hell they're calling it. I think they should take it further. I think it needs to be bigger, more things.
Yeah, to me, I agree that you've got two audiences probably that don't like the way this could be going. Is like you've got some hardcore Diablo 3 fanboys that like think that D3 is still like a better game than PoE, and you've got complete and total casuals that want to do couch co-op and they can't be bothered to have a complex game. So I could see them being upset, but screw those guys.
Yeah, they don't know what to talk about. The next question comes from Kirei. He says, "What if anything would be required to get you back into Halo?" Oh, this is for you, Fluff. What if anything would be required to get you back into Halo Pro tournaments?
I mean, I would have to like have a team of guys. Like I don't know anyone anymore, you know, that like plays Halo. I still talk to one guy from my team way back then. And he doesn't even game anymore. So like I'd have to have a solid group of people that I would play with every day. I mean, I love playing shooters still. I know that I'm old, you know, I'm 40. And in the esports community, you don't see a lot of old FPS players like winning, but I would love to compete. Like I still get really hyper competitive about shooters. I love it. So I would do it, but I wouldn't even know where to start, to be honest.
Yeah. I would agree with Fluff on that point, that you have to have teammates to play with consistently. You got to have some chemistry, and you got to have people that are equal skilled, you know. I would love to play shooters, but I got into them too late, and I'm like Fluff said, I'm old, man. So I have to work twice as hard just to be average than like a young kid. So it sucks. Kiri also says, P, would you encourage your kiddos to be gamers if they wanted to pro or streamers or to go to college? So I would definitely treat any kind of gaming thing like a college athlete. Like let's say that you have a kid that's a really good video game player or a streamer. You would treat it like a college athlete, right? Like let's say your son's really good at baseball. You wouldn't tell him like, yeah, son, you're going to go to the MLB, F college, F getting an education, you're going to go pro. That's the wrong play, in my opinion. You would tell them like, hey, man, I hope this works out. But while you're doing this, make sure you get an education and have a backup plan just in case, right? But if your kids demonstrate some kind of aptitude towards gaming, then embrace it. I wouldn't turn them away. I wouldn't be like, no, that's stupid. Don't do that.
Yeah.
I would just make sure that that's not the only thing that they put their time and money into. So
I agree, as someone that is very familiar with being a father.
Yeah, your kid's in your lap right now, right?
True. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to treat it like anything else. Like if your kid was playing basketball all day, like like it's, to me, I still think it's the same. Like being able to play video games at competitive level is the same as being able to play sports at competitive level, but not just focusing on that, and also focusing on studies would be a big thing, because video games particularly can get in the way of, because they're so accessible. Like you can't play basketball in like the middle of the night in the dead of winter and be happy about it, so
it's easy to ruin your life, man. Like I've definitely failed some college classes because of WoW. For sure. 100%. There's many times where I should have been studying and I was out grinding instead. So.
I'm trying to think of a game that ruined any class for me.
Oh WoW completely effed up an entire semester.
Because I think
dropped like every class.
For me, by the time I was ready to go back to school, which wasn't until like much later in life, then you should go to college, or not should go, but like you usually go. So I was like already over that, like being obsessed over video game stage. I mean, D3 came out.
That's what you talking about.
I mean, I still am too, but like, yeah, I was focused, I guess.
Yeah. Maester Magus says, if one song is always going to be stuck in your head from now on, what song would you want it to be?
I tell you what, man, when I was in like 8th grade, I had My Name is Jonas from Weezer like stuck in my head for like 2 years straight. Not even joking.
Really?
Yes.
Oh man.
I don't know. I've got like a top song from like 2021, but to think of one song I'd have to listen to for all eternity, I feel like you'd just go crazy.
Yeah, there is no song that you'd want to be stuck in your head. It'd have to be.
I think for me, it would be something that doesn't have lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would just probably eventually get to me. So maybe like just a classical piece, or.
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't have an answer for that, because I don't even remember a time where a song. I mean, I've had a song stuck in my head for a couple of hours. I can't even remember one that's been stuck there for days. Honestly, it just hasn't happened. And then he also followed up. He said, "What would you want to be stuck in your co-host's head?" So we get to pick a song for each other.
Ooh. Okay.
Can I rickroll you for life?
What's that like country rap song? That was pretty fucking awful.
The Nelly one?
No, I don't even know.
Florida Georgia line?
No,
people.
I wouldn't even be. If you said it right now, I probably still wouldn't know the answer.
Can I just rickroll you forever? I think I might just do that, dude. I think I'm just gonna rickroll you for life. I think that's my choice. The Lil Nas X song, is that you're just like, it's like, I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road.
One.
Yeah, that
one.
That's
have fun with that.
bad, actually. Okay,
no,
that's fine. I'd rather have that stuck in Rickroll. So I think you lose that deal. You just got Rickrolled.
I don't know. I'd rather be Rickrolled any day of the week than a country rap song. You combine my two least favorite genres of music. Good God.
Brett says, thanks to both of you, I'm very hyped for the release of Lost Ark. However, I played the beta and was surprised how many MMO fetch quests there were. The combat and occasional amazing story mission kept me going, but I was already feeling the grind of the main story. What's the end game like? Is it more combat focused than the main story? And what are your thoughts on the main story mission?
It's a great question. So to me, you know, if you're that guy that hates that, like, just rush the main story. It's going to take you like 12 hours to get to the campaign if you do that, and it's going to be a grind, and it's going to be annoying. But if you like the story, like, maybe that'll keep you going. But it does get so much better in the end game. So much better.
Yeah. So I can tell you that the raid, like for the raid experience, first off, Lost Ark is an MMO, not an ARPG. And it was a weird distinction for me to make. After I played it, I was like, this is definitely an MMO. It's like an ARPG MMO, but it's definitely MMO. Like, so you can't look at it like Diablo. It's not like Diablo. It's not like POE. It time gates like MMOs, like World of Warcraft. Its loot system is more MMO-ish, but its combat and its ARPG isometric camera are you know what you would expect in your typical ARPG. So the end game rating works a lot like WoW's. I mean, you're going in. It's like a combination. I'm trying to think of what the other game was that I played that was like it. There was another game, but you're going into this big area and you're fighting a boss, and you have so many deaths you can have before it kicks you out. They time gate it with a weekly ticket system, so you can only get, like, I think you can kill the boss as many times as you want in the week, but you only get loot based on how many tickets you have. So if you have 3 tickets, your first 3 kills give you loot. I believe is how it works. Yeah,
you can get up to 4, I think, daily.
You can buy more tickets, I think, with real money, or at least you could in the non-US.
You can buy the parts too, I think, like on the I don't
know.
But it's not like it's just one thing. That's the Guardian raids.
And but the raid itself was fun. Like, you're going in, you're kicking ass, you're with your friends. Like, it was an epic battle. It was fun, man. Yeah. It was really fun. And then there's PvP, which is standardized loadout, or what am I trying to say here? Like the balanced and set skill damage gears. Normalized. Thank you. It's normalized damage, normalized gear, I believe.
Yep.
What else was there? What other endgame? I'm trying to think. It's been like a year since I played. So
there's a lot. I mean, there's quite a bit. I think Bloodshed just came out with a video on it. So maybe give that a peek.
Check it out. Yeah, but it is MMO-ish though. So if you're turned off by MMO qualities, then maybe it's not your game. I think combat carries so hard that even if you don't like MMOs, you should try it. And see what you feel.
The last time I played, they kind of added like a GR system that you could just like continuously do. It wasn't as good as GRs, but it was like at least like fighting if you love combat, and it was something that you wanted to do every day. So.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was in there too. Yeah, that was pretty, just pure combat. You know, the whole time. But yeah. So, as thoughts on the main story, like Fluff said, they colorized the missions, and I think it's was it the dark orange or was it the blue? There was definitely a color for main story missions.
Yeah, I don't remember.
The tip for whenever you guys will figure it out.
I think it had a special border on like the exclamation point or something.
It was like a color and a border. There was a way you could distinguish between side quest and main story quest. Basically, just plow through your main story quest and ignore every side quest ever. Is what I did, and you can get to end game relatively quick. So, Hex says, "What video game do you regret buying?" I already know what you're gonna say.
Obviously, I'm remake.
Yeah, I almost added my own to that and said, except for Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm making you pick a different one. You got to pick something else.
Okay. I think the only game I ever refunded was Bless? Was it Bless?
Was that the Korean MMO one?
Yeah, it was an MMO. And I was like a paladin. I think it was Bless. I don't know for sure though.
I bought Age of Conan back when it came out, like years ago. Like that was like a WoW killer, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was complete garbage. I played it for like 30 minutes and uninstalled it. It was so bad. But aside from that, more recently, Anthem. Anthem.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so hyped for that game, dude. That one hurts my soul. I almost said Cyberpunk just now too. I'm gonna play through that. I think next. I'm gonna finish that game because I think the story is good, but man, it had so much hype and it just fell so flat.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, that could have been one I could have got on sale. I think it's worth buying, but just not at full price.
But imagine like if Cyberpunk had come out like Ninja like, I feel like people would be raving about it.
Yeah, probably so. I think it just had Cyberpunk had this unattainable hype that no game could ever live up to. It like we even said it on the pod before it dropped. I'm like, there's no way it's going to live up to it.
Yeah.
But it fell pretty short, man. It was like when people are doing comparison videos from Cyberpunk to like GTA 5, which came out in 2013, and they're like shooting a tire in GTA 5, shooting a tire in Cyberpunk, and it's like, damn. And it's like, you know, running a pedestrian over in GTA 5, running one over in Cyberpunk. And like this comparison video is insane. Like they show like 100 different aspects of the game, and GTA 5 smoked them in every single one. And it's like,
Really?
This game's 10 years old, man. Like it's a crazy video. If you haven't seen it, you should just look it up sometime for fun. It's entertaining as hell to watch. Which maybe shows just how good GTA 5 really is. So
Well,
if they would fix the modern, man, they're like Diablo 3. They don't ban cheaters at all in that game. It's absolutely nutty, dude.
right.
Dirty Nap says, what's an awesome TV show that was canceled too soon? I can name like 5 right now.
Really?
Like instantly 5 come to mind.
Go.
So HBO's Rome. HBO's Rome was phenomenal, man. It was so good. HBO's Carnival. So good, dude. That was so good. I don't even understand how that one didn't get it. What was the HBO Western show?
Oh,
it was
Westworld?
They made a movie finally to finish it.
Was it Westworld?
Man, what was it?
Westworld?
No, not West. Westworld was really good, but they're still making those. What was? It's been so long since I watched it. Chat can help me out. Firefly was really good as well. Deadwood, thank you. Yeah, Deadwood was it. Those are off the top of my head. Those are the ones that instantly come to mind for me.
I don't know that.
Deadwood was so good, man. Like, god damn, that was so good. I don't understand how Deadwood didn't get renewed. I really don't. I'm gonna have to look that up now that I think about it.
I really don't think I've ever invested in a show that like didn't live its life.
I missed Firefly after it's like I didn't hear about Firefly until years later, and then people were like, "Oh, you got to watch Firefly," and so I went and binged. I guess it was one season. I went and binged it, and it was good. It's definitely worth more. So you got nothing?
No, I've never watched a show that got the axe. Before I was done with it.
That's it, man. That is all the questions we had for this juicy pod. We'll see you guys next month. In all fairness, man, it's nice having a bunch of juice built up for
so
a couple
nice.
of weeks.
It was the easiest schedule we've ever put together.
Yeah, it was
easily.
Like blog patch.
We didn't have to search the annals of the internet at all. It was right there in front of us.
Yeah. But in all reality, my birthday's Sunday, by the way.
Oh wow! Happy 41st birthday.
No, yeah, you're 41 already.
No,
so
I'm 40, bro. You're old as fuck.
I know, dude. That's crazy, man. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of nutty, dude. I'm gonna need bifocals soon. So
I already do, man.
Yeah. So
170 next week. The 20th, I'll be in Hawaii. There's 2
What
weeks
is
from now.
this? Hawaii?
Hawaii, baby.
Oh,
49
did you
out
buy
of
me
50
a birthday
states.
trip? Where are we going, dude?
Yeah, let's go. I mean, I offered Costa Rica to pay some, and you still said no.
Hey, what did you want to? What you wanted me to go biking across Costa Rica? I don't know.
That was a great fucking trip. Great. Trip.
That was the one you got rained on the whole time, right? I think that was a good one.
The first 2 days, I got poured on.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, and I also didn't bring like gear because I didn't think and it's Costa Rica. It's like, you know, closer to the equator. And when I went to
I don't know if I ever want to go on a
degrees.
fluff trip, man. I don't know if I trust a fluff trip. Seems like it's a little too close to the edge for me.
You'll come back with some stories.
You might die. Like, listen,
yeah,
dude,
true.
If we go to Arkansas and I got like toothless old white-haired ladies pulling shotties out on me, then I don't know if that's my jam, dude.
Think of the stories you could tell, though. You know,
if an old lady's like,
I'm like, best go and get the way you came,
y'all. You just best go and get. I'm like, yeah, I'll see ya.
Yeah.
Sorry. Here's 100. Sorry for your trouble. So, all right, 170 next Thursday.
Yep.
See you guys then.
Peace.
I'm waving to my old camera. It's done.